Good morning. It's one of those strange Mondays where it's the Monday of a long weekend for some of us, but tomorrow is the holiday. It's that gray area. So because we're in a gray area kind of thing, I'm going to talk about this at the end of the video because I dig MotoGP, but also because it can show you how AI is wrong. But first, I'm going to talk about the digital services tax, I'm going to talk about oil, and I'm going to talk about tariffs. First up, that week Mark Carney, he gave in to President Trump. Digital services tax has been canceled. Yeah, no. That's not how it went down. It's funny how the media tells these stories. You'll recall the digital services tax came into effect on June 28th of 2024. So the payments came due this past weekend, and Donald Trump got very upset about that. On the 27th, he got upset about that. But on the 28th, the G7 negotiations, which were happening at the time, they finally concluded when it came to taxation. They've agreed to global minimum taxes, and part of that is going to be digital services taxes. There's no final word on that yet, but since there's no final word on that yet, we're not charging digital services tax. Yada, 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 including a constructive dialogue on the taxation of the digital economy and preserving the tax sovereignty of all countries. So it might be reported by some that Mark Carney has bowed down to Donald Trump's demands, but it actually has absolutely nothing to do with that. All right, tariffs. Since Donald Trump doesn't have a deal, he's going to send out letters to countries about the tariffs that they have to pay. I keep saying this is just a taxation move. They're moving taxes from the wealthy people onto the regular people of the United States, and it's the regular people in the U.S. that are going to be paying these tariffs. Why is it a big deal for every other country? Because it's going to slow down the trade between countries because tariffs are going to raise prices. I've mentioned this a couple times lately. When you raise prices, it's a problem. And so he's causing a problem within the United States. Those higher prices are going to slow down the economy for everyone. But other countries are not paying this tax. American citizens are paying this tax. No negotiation is going to stop this. This is what he wants. He wants regular people paying the taxes that rich people should be paying. All right, the month is coming to an end, which means an increase in oil supply. Oil prices dip as OPEC Plus boosts supply. Not much of a dip. It's right there. It's not too bad. It's still in a good spot. I mentioned last week that everyone was surprised that there's been more production out of Alberta through all this, not less. So this is good. A higher price will mean people are still going to work in Alberta, and that's what we all want. All right, a warning about how AI can be incorrect. Let me take it back a little bit. So last week, Liberty Media, who owns Formula One and the Drive to Survive series, they purchased MotoGP. MotoGP is essentially Formula One on motorcycles, but better. So I was explaining this to somebody, and I mentioned how one of the riders lost a finger and went on to race. This is totally normal in MotoGP. It's not like any other sport. In other sports, when you get injured, you sit out. In MotoGP, unless the doctors declare you unfit to race, you race. I'll use former world champion Jorge Lorenzo as an example. He once raced, actually did a few races, with two broken ankles. He broke his collarbone one time, flew to Spain, had it plated, and came back to race. And once he lost his finger, and then he raced. And AI was incorrect. AI said, oh no, Jorge Lorenzo didn't race. That's insane. He lost a finger. He was declared unfit to race after a crash in which he lost the tip of his finger. Yes, but see, he was indeed declared unfit to race if they reattach the finger. I don't know if I'm allowed to show you the photo of the finger, but it had to be reattached. I'll just let that sit in your head for a moment. But as I said, these guys will race unless they're told they can't race. And since he had the option of either racing or keeping the finger, he decided to race. So they just tossed the finger in the garbage, and Jorge Lorenzo got the thumbs up to race in Australia. Be careful when using AI for search results. Like, if I didn't know better, I'd be like, oh yeah, okay, he didn't race. But I do know better. So even when you get these results, click on these links, check out these articles, and verify that AI is telling you the truth. Because AI simply may not know what it's talking about.